Hey all, this is Aaron LeBauer. This is the CashPT lunch hour, and you guys are in the right place. We're just going to wait for everyone to show up, and I'm really excited. I've got an awesome guest today, and as you come in, just give a sign in the chat to where you're calling in from. Just write like Aaron LeBauer, Greensboro, North Carolina, or write your name. Let us know where you're calling in from, and we're going to get started in just a second. I'm gonna wait for everyone to get here. We've got quite a few people joining us today, and I've got an awesome guest who gets me really excited and fired up, and I know he's gonna fire you guys up too. So just let us know if you can hear us okay, if you can hear me, if you can see me, and where you're calling in from. As we go along today, this of course is live, so if you have someone playing Xbox in your house, ask them to pause their game. If you have any connection issues, shut down any other programs that you have. Turn off the DVR, anything that's using your Wi-Fi, and get a pen and paper and join us. And get ready to write down some awesome stuff and learn some amazing things. And if you have any trouble, there should be a little reload button at the bottom of your screen, or you can always reload your browser if for some reason you get kicked out or the connection gets slow. So I am just going to introduce my friend, my guest, one of my mentors, someone I'm learning a ton from. His name is Paul Gough. Paul called me up or contacted me like on Facebook it's almost been about a year, I think. And he was like, hey, Aaron, love what you're doing. I'm going to be in Charlotte. Would like to hang out and come see you and talk about some things and just meet you. And he was even like, I'm going to drive an hour and a half to Greensboro to come see you after work. And that went so far, like making a huge impression on me. A lot of times people come in, they're like, I want to meet you for lunch. And we go out to lunch and they don't even pick up the $10 bill. And Paul drove all the way in from Charlotte. Really, he came all the way from the UK to say hello. And that was just really awesome. Paul owns a cash-based practice. He owns four practices in the UK. His competition is free. He is a former professional soccer physical therapist, which isn't as glamorous as it sounds, apparently. And he's really like a genius at content marketing. And he's won an award from Infusionsoft, which is the granddaddy of all content email marketing programs and services. And so I'm just excited to share with you and introduce you guys to Paul Gough. Paul, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be here. And I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, and thank you for the introduction. And I remember the trip well to come and see you. And I've been in that exact room where I'm obviously communicating with you now. So I flew in to see a client in Harrisburg, and I remember that it was the Tuesday afternoon. I was 2 days into the trip, and obviously my biological clock as I get to you is always 5 hours behind. And I remember driving along that highway, getting to you at about 3 o'clock, thinking like, this is going to be like, driving home is going to be such a nightmare. And that 2 hour drive back to my hotel in Harrisburg from Greensboro was just like, I was driving with the window down, the radio on, like iPod in, like mints in my mouth, everything, trying to stay awake, because it was 8 p.m. your time or 9 o'clock your time. I remember you took me to that restaurant, which was fabulous. It was 8 or 9 o'clock your time. It was like 2:33 in the morning for me, and obviously jet lagged to hell, the trip across and stuff. But it's all part of the journey, and it's all part of the the entrepreneurial kind of quest, if you like. And the journey that I'm on, if you like, is I love business, I love marketing, but from the moment that I've kind of got into this stuff that I'm doing now, it's got a lot bigger faster than I thought. But my intention all the time was I want to meet people. Like, I love the American people and I love America, and I couldn't think of a better way than to kind of see America and travel around America than to do it meeting people and interesting people along the way. So I'm very lucky, very privileged that I've been able to do that and meet people like you and tons of other people along the way. And it makes the jet lag and the flights and the trips and everything else that I do they're just a non-event. I don't even think about them. I just, it's just something that I have to do to achieve what I want to achieve, which is to help people along the way, but obviously from a selfish point of view, to meet people and create lifelong friends, which is certainly happening.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. It's like, and a part of it's that I think you were mentioning earlier today on the other calls, like the technology makes the world so small. And just to be able to connect with you and feel, like even we sit down in person, but online, just have like that same kind of mentality and same focus and same thing. It's just like, oh, there's someone else who gets what I get. And that's just so really cool.
The internet makes that possible, and that is, we've never, despite everything that's going on, there's positives and negatives of everything that's happening in the world right now, but I don't think there'll ever be a bigger positive than what we're able to do right now. Me and you have had dinner in the East Coast of America, and we've had dinner in the West Coast of America in Anaheim, and whenever we speak, it doesn't feel any different whether we're speaking through Skype or through Google or face to face over an Indian restaurant. So it's pretty cool times, and if we use them and we look at what is possible, not what we think has been taken away from us by governments or insurance companies or whatever, you pretty quickly realize that anything's possible, and the only thing that'll stop you is time. Like, that's the only limit to your life, basically.
Yeah, totally. So why don't you give everyone an introduction, a little bit about how you get into physical therapy, and then how'd you so I want you to just go, like, how'd you get into PT? Like, how'd you know you want to be a PT? How'd you get into private practice, and what was it that triggered you, like, to make this huge change in your practice and your career?
Okay. So my background, I love sport. I'm a soccer, cricket is our, my family's big sport, cricket and soccer. So I always was kind of there or thereabouts as a player in both of the games, and I was kind of like almost to play both, and realized I was probably more educational. I was more education based than I was probably going to be a professional athlete. So I looked at it and thought, right, the best chance I've got of staying around this type of thing is to be a physio. I was always interested, fascinated by the body and things that went wrong with the body, and was asking questions from a young age. So it kind of became the options. It was either sports journalism, because I love to write. So I kind of had an early love of writing and communicating and broadcasting. So I was kind of interested in that early doors. PE teaching, which was, again, a lot of people who kind of flirt with this type of thing. It's sports therapy, PE, physio, whatever. And then obviously the third one was physio. And when I first set off at college, we kind of have different systems, but it's all the same in the end. I didn't actually set out to do physio. I set out to do, I was going to go down the journalism route. Then after a year, I realized I'd made a mistake. So I had to go back and start my A levels, as we call them again, which was like at 16, 17. Redid everything, passed, got what I needed, got into university to study physiotherapy, and knew from minute one that I wanted to be around sport. So that's not really the done thing here. You go through the PT school is gearing you up for the National Health Service, so the free system. You basically spend most of your time through school working for the National Health. So when you've heard me jibe about, how I use what the bad service that the National Health Service gives, it's because I know that they're sticking most patients in front of students. So we communicate that with patients. It's like, hey, if you want to go to the National Health Service, you're going to get a student, because like that's what we did, to get trained. So I use that in my favor, basically, as my value prop. Now obviously I've been through it all, so went through PT school and came out instantly. I did a placement with Professional Soccer Club at the time. We're a pretty big club in the area. Did that, hung around, got a job in the youth department, worked my way up pretty quickly, and then moved into one of the bigger clubs in the area called Middlesbrough, which are currently in the English Premier League, pretty big team, equivalent of the MLS, kind of Beckham sort of standard. It's the English Premier League is the biggest in the world. It's just the best. And for context, it's, I know you've got soccer there, and it's okay. Obviously, it's doing all right. But it's the equivalent of like the basketball or the NFL. Like, soccer here is just like, soccer is just God. Like, it's the thing, front and back, every headline, everything. So to get a job in soccer was cool. We would fly all over the country. We would, be away every weekend, running on the pitch in front of thousands of people, working with stars. Some players at the end of my time that I was working as a soccer player, I was watching as a kid, and like they'd come in and I'd have to do their assessments, and I'd be like I used to watch you. I used to shout at you. I used to swear at you. I used to give you loads of abuse because you were playing for some other team that I was, other than my local team. So it was amazing, and I had a great time. Learned a lot clinically. What I learned a lot more than anything was standards, incredible work ethic. Anybody who's been around anything professionally, soccer, baseball, basketball, whatever, like it is relentless, like relentless. 3-4 in the morning, the bus or the plane will arrive back. If there's a guy with an ankle sprain, you're in at 8 a.m. the next morning. Like the manager doesn't care that you haven't had no sleep. He doesn't care about Sundays. He doesn't care about this thing called Christmas. He doesn't care about public holidays. There's an injured player, like you're in, and you need to be on the bus at 8 p.m. And if you're not, there's trouble. So brilliant work ethic and standards, and got to be around some great physios that I learned from, great doctors. Would take every moment that I had to go and, if a player went for an assessment, I'd go with them, drive them there myself to make sure I could learn from the doc who was doing the hernia or doing the spinal surgery or whatever, or the ACL reconstruction. I'd watch them, I'd pick his brains, ask him. So it's just relentless in my quest for clinical knowledge in that early phase. And then I started to find private pay. So, or to be exact, people started to find me. So about 4 or 5 years in, people would ring up the club and say, "Hey, I've hurt my ankle, I've hurt my back, I've seen that guy running on the pitch. Does he do private stuff?" And I was like, there's an opportunity here. Like this little spark went off in my brain for a potential second income. So I started doing it, and then within 6 months, I was like, now I have a decision to make, because I'm actually financially better off like in 2 hours doing this stuff than I am traveling all over the country. And I was never I loved the job, but what I didn't love all the time was being around, because they are as egotistical as the picture gets painted. A lot of them, not all of them, some of them are wonderful people I keep in touch with, but 18 out of 20 of them now I couldn't even have a conversation with them. And so I was starting to fight with that by the end of it, that I enjoyed working with Mary in her 50s a lot more than I did Johnny, age 20, with the ACL, just because of the conversations, the attitude, the values of life. The conversations were just more like my type of conversation. So it became a no-brainer in the end that as I was flying away for like 2 days to go at the other end of the country, I was getting phone calls from patients who wanted to give me twice as much as I could ever earn as a physio. So the decision in the end became a no-brainer. So I quit with a decent client base underneath me and set off on the journey to build the Paul Gough Physio Rooms, which is now one of the biggest private pay practices in the country. 4 premises, 15 staff, around about 2,000 visits a month, almost all exclusively private pay, cash stuff. So very proud of what we've achieved. Couldn't have done it without my incredible team. And yeah, it's been a ride and a great journey, and loving every second of it, and long may it continue.
That's awesome. Was it was that changed like quality of life
for me?
Things? Yeah.
As an individual or for patients?
As well as an individual, was it like, all right, I got to take care of myself at a certain point?
Yeah, absolutely. Because at 26, flying all over the country was cool, and we had a great time, and it was like probably my own ego was getting like massaged, and people, press were ringing me asking me for updates, and I'd be on the telly, and people had seen me run on the pitch, and then I'd have my picture in the paper, and I'd be coming out of a changing room with like multi-million-dollar soccer players behind me and stuff. So it was fab, but I'm not motivated by that in any way. I'm very personal. I keep myself to myself. I love what I do, and I love the fact that people know what I do, but only because it helps me to build bigger businesses. And so I was never really ever going to be drawn to that lifestyle. Weekends were non-existent. Driving to work on Christmas Day, all that type of stuff was always going to get in the way of where I wanted to go with a family and stuff like that. And looking back, I realized I'm just too entrepreneurial. Like, if you tell me what to do, I'll fight with you. Like, I'll fight I'm the world's worst person to take instructions from anyone. So I'm like, if there's ever such a thing as unemployable, it's me. Like, because I just resist everything.
I know that. I know that so much.
I'll challenge everything. I want to know why. Like, you want me to be at the the dinner table at 6:30? It's like, can we do it at 6:45 instead? But I'm aware of that, and it's one of my things that I have to curb a little bit. So yeah, lifestyle. And one thing I realized, and still to this day, working for 5 full seasons in professional soccer where I never got a weekend off, like when it gets to a weekend now, it's just like, oh, this is just so cool. Like, that I can just go where I want and do what I want. Sometimes you have to go through that thing first, the pain of it, to really appreciate what it is that you have and the life that you have, so love it, don't regret it one bit, never look back. Even a week later, 2 weeks later, when I quit and I seen like the preseason pictures in the paper, another physio standing in my place, not once did I look at it and think like, I'm so pleased. The Paul Gough physio rooms for me became my new baby and the new project that I have kind of invested every ounce of my energy and life into ever since then. So yeah, it's been good.
That's really awesome. Did you, when you started, was it just you? And did you start like,
all me?
Yeah.
Everything. And what I love about the journey I'm on, and I always say this to staff, one day when I look back and write the book, I can write every chapter, every single chapter, from answering the phone, picking up the facts, sending the texts, putting the names on the schedule, sending the bills off, chasing my money, rebooking appointments, everything. Like I know this business inside out, and I've been able to build it from scratch, from a bedroom to a 4 premises, well over $1 million value. The premises alone, like I've been able to get involved in real estate, so I got used my business to buy premises. So the premises that I speak to you now, I own I own them and rent them back to my business. So I've been able to leverage a lot of things just from being a half decent physio, basically, that figured a few things out.
That's great. When you started your practice, what year was that? And did you start right away as cash-based, or did you try to do National Health Service or other private insurance?
I've never worked National Health other than as a student, and I would never get a job. I'm just too I'd just be way out of the box for those guys. You'd never get me. I couldn't sit in the same tea room as the coffee room as them. Never mind, I could listening to the shit that they come out with all day long about how bad life is and how hard done by they are, and yet they're all going to accept it for 35 years is like the thing that I'd probably be fired within day one. So I've always worked privately for either soccer teams. I worked for a brief period of time for a private pay hospital, which was a pretty exclusive hospital called the Woodlands. So I was always doing stuff. Even when I was at the soccer club early doors, we would finish at 1:30, 2 o'clock. So we were done by 2. And it's like, well, I'm not going home to sit on the couch. I'm going to go and work. So I would go and work either for another club. I started working for Middlesbrough. That's how I ended up at Middlesbrough. I was doing evenings for their youth team academy, which went on at 5 o'clock at night. I was working subcontracted for a private hospital, which again was, cash pay or insurance. So it wasn't National Health. And what else was I doing? I was doing first aid teaching. I was doing child protection teaching for the Football Association of Britain. So I'd kind of gone and done my qualifications for that. And I started to get 1 or 2 connections with law firms who would have RTA, like whiplash type stuff, road traffic accident stuff, where they would send me some referrals and I would go to people's houses and do the work from home. So at any one point, I probably had about 5 different jobs. So I was just always used to working. I didn't have kids at this point, and I just literally would get up, love what I did, got to live the dream as a soccer guy, and then started being a bit entrepreneurial and realized that's where I wanted to go, basically.
Now in England, where healthcare is free, did people look at you like you were crazy to try to, start a cash-based practice?
Still to this day. It's great. It's great. I love it. So yeah, they do, because it's the change. It's the fear of the unknown, and a lot of people will accept their adversity and their struggle over the potential for change. It's just the way it is. It's don't get me wrong. There's a lot of private pay practices in this country, but they exist on. And I did as I launched originally. As I launched into becoming a business, it was like, oh, I've got to now go network with third-party referrals, workers' comp style stuff, RTA lawyers, big businesses, fire brigade, local councils who would subcontract out to the likes of our businesses. So I existed on that type of thing in the beginning. I was 80% paid for by like a HR department or an agency in the middle who was paying the bill on behalf of a workers' comp guy or whatever. So that's what it was, and that's how most clinics in this country exist, because they all are frightened of the free. It's like, how are we ever going to get people to pay out of pocket and decent money when they've got the free option? So still to this day, people think I'm crazy, and long may it continue.
So what is it that you're able to do, or how are you able to convince patients to come and see you and pay what, 100 pounds or 150? How many pounds?
So it'd be like 98 pounds, so equivalent right now $150. Although since Brexit, it's probably less. So the exchange, it's pretty painful for people going over to the US right now.
I gotta get you to bring me some scooter parts next time you come over.
We'll do. No problem. We'll get them from Europe. So if I'm allowed to talk to anybody in Europe anymore. I don't know if we can do business with Europe anymore. It's all up in the air right now. So how do I get people to pay for physical therapy or physiotherapy in a country with a free healthcare system? It's quite simple. I don't market or advertise myself as a physical therapist. I don't do physical therapy. I'm not, to all intents and purposes, it's just the thing that I know how to do. But what I do is solve solutions to specific problems with my external marketing, my internal communication, and this thing called physical therapy is just the thing that I do and the skill that I have to achieve the outcome that a bucket of people want to have happen. So I said this on a call, and the best way to explain it is if it was me and two presidents or another guy running for president, he'd have physical therapist on it. I'm a physical therapist. Mine would say, I help people who are nervous, frightened, and skeptical, who have no clue what to do about their real health, are frightened about taking pills, don't want to risk surgery, fearful of losing their independence and mobility, and are looking for a solution, but are just a little bit stuck right now. That's who I build a business for. And at no point do they know we're a physical therapist until they've even decided to do business with us. It's completely irrelevant.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. So it's one of those things I see a lot of people, when I look at their websites, it's like, I did this training, that training, I've got all these qualifications, X, Y, and Z, and it says nothing about what the patients are doing. I mean, right?
It means nothing to the patient, and it's hard for us to accept, and it's hard for us to understand, because again, you've been through school and you're talking to physical therapists, and again, we just spoke about this. I firmly believe that the internet will have made the fact that physical therapists can connect with each other all over the country all night long on Twitter has probably made communication within practices worse than ever, because everybody's communicating with each other in that language, that tonality, which is fine for us guys, we get it. But for Joe Public, Joe 32-year-old who's a plumber, a bricklayer, a plasterer, a joiner, a housewife, a grandmother of 3, she has no clue what we're doing, and never has, and doesn't care. She just wants to be able to sleep at night or play with her grandkids in the swing park. And if we communicate with her in that language, we take our businesses to the moon. If we start speaking to her about pain, and even, I've said this before, even back pain and mobilizations and function and all this other crap that people are spouting is just ridiculous. It's like it's going straight over their heads, but it's happening because the patient's going, oh yes, that sounds wonderful, Mr. LeBauer. That sounds really good, because they don't want to insult you, and they don't want to they don't want to insult you, and they don't want to look dumb, which is the other reason that they're not going to say, could you just explain that again, please, Aaron? Because I have absolutely no clue what you've just said. But I'm going to go along with it anyway, and I'll pay you a couple of sessions, and then what I'll do, from the comfort of my own home, I'll give you a call and tell you that I'm going to go in a different direction. Damn right, you're going to go in a different direction. To somebody like a masseuse or an acupuncturist who will talk to you in a better way. And it's not because it's cheaper, it's because they're talking to you in a way that you can understand.
Right. So how do we, as physical therapists who are in this analytical zone in our heads where we have to do all this analytical stuff, how do we communicate this stuff to our patients? What's the best way to do that? Like someone on this call is just like, I haven't heard this before. What are they talking about? This is not true. How did we get out of that analytical side and really speak to a patient's wants, needs, and desires?
Ask, listen, repeat. That's it.
Yes. What's the best question to ask?
What do you want to achieve? What's your current understanding of what a physical therapist does? What problems are you living with? What value can I bring to your life? What's stopping you from doing? And all I'm going to do in my evaluation is repeat exactly what they've told me. So you said to me that the number one thing that you want to achieve is X. Okay, great. Well, my treatment plan will be this, this, and this, and it's going to take us a couple of weeks. And by the end of it, you'll be on the 18th hole playing golf with your buddies. And this thing called value that the PT profession around the world keeps trying to tell every single one of its members, that we need to add value to our patients' lives. Okay, well, it starts with fucking asking them what value actually means to them. Not me and my big high horse with all of the names after my letters after my name, or my name above a shop, assuming ignorantly and arrogantly as crap what value means to you, Mrs. 52-year-old in Harrisburg, who is right now fearful, nervous, skeptical, got a husband chirping away saying, hey, don't go waste your money there. A work colleague saying, hey, go try chiropractic because it's cheaper and they only have to go once and they'll do this, and you just get these clicks and everything's all right. Or little Johnny, who is a niece or nephew or whatever, saying, hey, go try acupuncturist. Confused as hell. So if I just ask her and say, hey, have you tried physical therapy before? So before I assume that you have, and even if a doctor sent you to see me or a friend has referred you to see me, let me just make sure that you know what I do.
Right.
Because I guarantee if you ask that question, they'll go, no.
Maybe
but I'm here
exercise.
anyway. But I'm here anyway. Well, why are you here? Because I really need to do something. I just don't know what. So I'm kind of taking part in this process. But I'm not yet. You start to ask me. But if you ask me one or two simple questions about what I want to achieve, and I tell you that I don't know what physical therapy does, and I say, hey, well, okay, I want to be able to play golf. Okay, well, what we do here at LeBauer PT is we help people get back on the 18th hole with less knee pain so that they can play 3 rounds of golf a week, so that they can make it to the 19th hole and have a beer with their buddies and escape their wife for 3 afternoons a week. How does that sound?
Oh, that sounds awesome. That's
what I do. That's what physical therapy does. That's what I do.
Yes.
Would you like to proceed with treatment?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, let's sign you up.
You're gonna have no.
Because that's what we do. That's what physical therapy really, really does. In the middle of all of that, we've got these nags and snags. We've got these toolboxes of TMR, of massage, of exercise, of whatever else. But it means nothing to the patient. It means everything to us. Why wouldn't it? Because we spent $100,000 getting them. So it really means a lot to us.
Yes.
But it means Jack to Mary. Like, she don't care. Like, I don't, I've said this again, I don't care when in America for however much of my life, which I am, when I phone home to speak to Harry, my mom, or whoever, I don't care what phone it is. I just care that it connects me to Harry. I can read him a story at 8 o'clock. So I don't obsess over whether it's I don't even know what it is. I just know that when I press a button, it gets me to where I need to be, which is connected to Harry. And physical therapy is exactly the same. If we obsess over the physical therapy and the skills, it's the equivalent of obsessing. Like, you would never put the phone down, have it, you're the other side of the country and you're ringing home to your wife and kids. You put the phone down, okay? And you don't feel amazing. You don't look at the phone and go, wow, that was so cool. Like, I'm so thankful of this thing in my hand. Like, you go, I feel so good because I've been connected to my kids.
Right.
I've been so good because I heard their voice. They saw me. Like, they know I'm still around. They know I haven't left them. Like, that's what it's about. This thing just happened to be the thing that like made that happen, but none of us obsess over it. Physical therapy is no different.
Right. It's you've mentioned it a lot. It's the transformation that we can provide to people. Can you tell us about what does that mean to you? The transformation.
So the transformation is the thing. So a lot of physical therapists think that we're in the pain business. We're not. Like, we don't get dollars for eradicating pain. 99 out of 100 people who arrive through their practice of our practices have lived with it for weeks, months, and days, and probably years sometimes. So if all we're doing is communicating about pain, we are shoppable. Like, we are basically picture yourself. If you do pain at your practice, you communicate about pain, you market about pain, you ask them how their pain is repeatedly. Picture yourself on the middle shelf of an aisle in Walmart, where they can go buy some ibuprofen, some paracetamol, and LeBauer PT. LeBauer PT is $150 for pain relief. Ibuprofen is $7.99 for pain relief. Right. Paracetamol is 99 cents for pain relief. That's why they don't want to pay for physical therapy, because we're communicating with them. I'm watching Lost while I'm on my couch in San Diego in a couple of weeks' time, and an advert will come on the TV and it says, hey, Ibugel, the best thing ever to get rid of pain and inflammation, just $12.99 in all good stores, okay? And I'm halfway through my PT with Mr. LeBauer, who's charging me $150 to get rid of pain and inflammation. Is it any wonder I'm not all bought in? Is it any wonder I don't want to pay in cash?
Yeah.
Awesome. This is what's going on. This is what's going on. It's just not being spoken about. And this is how you and I make decisions. Yeah. This is how the consumer makes decisions. So we have to speak differently. I believe can't come on the TV, or Mr. Paracetamol advert can't come on the TV and start putting people in buckets and saying, are you a 50-year-old like grandmother with 2 kids who loves to go to the swing park in La Jolla, but right now can't push little Johnny on the swing because of a bad back? And that's been going on for 4 or 5 months, and you're frightened now that you might even lose the ability to keep looking after the grandkids. The reason that you exist, the reason that you live, the reason that you get out of bed on the morning, because you're fearful that your kids are going to look at you slowing down, thinking that you can't cope with the kids. So now their kids think, hey, we don't want to hinder you, mother, so we'll take the kids away from you. So we'll just leave you to slow down and figure this thing out for yourself. If that's you, I can help you. That's what I do. I help that person. But Mr. Ibuprofen advert can't do that. Like, Mr. Walmart can't do that. Nobody else is doing that. So the company that can do that, the company that can stay, like, can get big. So my company's big now. It's a big 7-figure business, right? In grand scheme of small private practices. But if you walked into my world, you would just think, my mum's friends think that I own this crappy little physio clinic on the corner of Raby Road in Hartlepool. It blows them away when they realize how big it is.
Yeah.
And that's the way I need, and that's when I know I'm winning in business.
Yeah.
Because it just feels small. And eventually when they start to realize how big the business is and the organization is, when they come in for treatment, they're like, wow, like, I didn't realize you'd gotten so big. And I'm like, no, let's keep it that way. Please don't tell anybody. Like, let's stay as small as possible so that I can communicate with you in such a way that nobody else can. And that's the secret to big business these days, is like a big business chopped up into small fragments that serve small pockets of people exceptionally well, better than anybody else. And that applies in every single business.
Yeah, awesome. I want you to tell me about two things I'm thinking. I want you to tell me about who are you serving, like who's your perfect patient, and how are you getting that message out to them?
So my perfect patient's Mary. She's 53. She has 2 grandkids, 2 kids, 3 grandkids. She loves Pilates. She loves to go to yoga. She likes a coffee. She likes to walk. She values her health. She works part-time. Her husband has a full-time job. He earns 100 grand a year. They live in a nice home, like 2 or 3 mile out of the town. Like, she is active. She values health and doesn't want to rely upon painkillers. She's got her parents who are in her 70s who are slowing down. One of them's in a wheelchair, and she's looking at them thinking, that's me next, and I don't want to be there next. So she's going to do anything and everything she can to protect that independence and mobility.
Yeah.
Okay, not absolve herself from pain, protect herself from independence and mobility. Now that is my perfect patient. Okay, everybody in business needs to know their version. Whether that's Johnny, age 27, who likes to go to Iron Tribe Fitness, he's there 3 hours a day. He's taking every supplement they can. He gets confidence because he looks great and he feels good. That means he gets the girls. The guys think he looks great in the new shirt. Whatever. You have to be able to articulate your guy like that. And if you can't, marketing will never work for you. So I can find Mary now, and I know where Mary is. She's in the 93% of people that, you know, that people have probably heard me speak about, who are being neglected, overlooked, and underserved. She's not in the 7% of people who are being given referrals to by doctors, and given like, get rid of the word referral and replace it with certainty, because that's all a doctor does. A doctor doesn't write a script for a referral. He writes a script of certainty, which means that that patient doesn't have to make a decision about what to do next. The frightening thing is there are 93% of people, and it's a study proven, done, Fritz and Child, 93% of people walk into their clinic, the local doctors today with low back pain, not given a referral, despite the evidence suggesting that if they were, care and treatment time and costs would be down. So physical therapists have 2 options. You go fight it out for the 7%, or you go learn how to talk to the 93. And if you do, you win the league because you're in the league of your own. Like, there's only you doing it. So I talk to Mary through Facebook because I know she's on there. Like, my mother's obsessed with Facebook. 55, my mum, I think she is now.
Your mom's your perfect patient.
She's absolutely, and she's like, I'm sick of seeing your ad. I'm like, I know, because you're my perfect patient. You've had 2 hip replacements. You've had spinal surgery. She's had every ailment under the sun. Like, she's like, I seen you out on Instagram the other day. You follow me? I'm like, yes. Like, because when I set this demographic up, it's you. Like, you're the one who I want. Like, I want your money. Like, I want to help you. I want you in the business, type of thing. So she's my perfect patient. So she sees my ads everywhere. So I know she's on Facebook. I know that because she's 55, she's still in that transition of reading newspapers. So when my mother goes to my grandmother's house every day, which she does, my mother doesn't buy a paper anymore, but she reads it in my grandmother's house every day. Massive difference. So when you read all the bullshit that says nobody's buying newspapers anymore and all that, like, be very, very careful of accepting that without studying the behavior. So I went to and I'll put it in the context, I went to a clinic owner in just outside of Orange County. It'll come to me as I speak. And we went out for dinner, and I said, oh, if I was you, I'd start to use newspapers. He says, nobody reads the newspapers anymore. I was like, okay, hang on. And I looked around, it was like a Mexican-y informal type thing. I looked around the restaurant, and there was 6 guys, like, all sat there like this. I was like, nobody reads the papers anymore? So just be careful what you say without being informed about it, because is that guy your patient? He went, well, actually, he is. I was like, oh, okay. So your patients don't read the newspapers anymore. Be very careful. Mine does. So 55, yeah, she might not buy the newspaper, but she still has a habit of reading it somewhere at work, in an office, where she goes somewhere, because that's what she's always done. So 55 plus is still reading newspapers. 65 plus are reading them every single day of their life and will do till the day they die, because it's a habit. It's where they find the news. Even if they get the news, they want to reread the news. It's a social thing. They take some time, sit on the couch and read it. So I can find mine on newspapers. I can find her in Facebook. I can find her all over social media. She's definitely on YouTube now because it's cool, and they can get access to that type of thing. I can find her using Google AdWords, because I know that if she's got a problem, she's not going looking for my services, but she's asking a question that says, how do I end back pain? Google, which I can do. I can bring them to my website. She's not looking for physical therapy, so I don't sell her on physical therapy. I give her information that starts a relationship with me and leads to her becoming a patient of a physical therapy clinic, but getting the solution that she wants. So that's another way I can get her. I can postcard it. I can do community events. Again, if I'm going doing community events, I'm not going as a physical therapist, because I know that 500 people at a coffee morning on a Saturday morning do not want to be pestered by a physical therapist. But I also know that 500 people at that coffee morning or that community event, 400 of them will have or are likely to suffer with low back pain. So I go as a back pain expert, giving free information to help people make better decisions, of which I'm much more likely to get people coming to me rather than leaving the stall at the end thinking, oh, well, I went there, but nobody was interested. Well, of course they're not, because physical therapy is the most boringest thing on the planet to everybody except us. Right. So all I'm doing is just studying human behavior and using what I know. I know Mary better than she knows herself. I know that my perfect patient better than she knows herself. And I'm taking everything that I know about her, both externally, internally, and philosophically, as how she thinks, to take that, put it into marketing, and have her, when it lands in front of her on Facebook, think, just like my mother says, like, are you following me? Like, are you doing this on purpose? It's like, yes, I am.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing all day long.
You mentioned something the other day, or I was listening to your podcast, and it was like, it was about how you're using your perfect patient to hire new people. Can you just tell us a little bit about that? Like, how are you using Mary to hire a new staff member?
Yeah. So when I do any interview now, it isn't, you don't get the job based upon your CV. It's now, in my world, is Mary going to fall in love with you? Like, are you lovable by Mary? So when Mary walks into my practice, are you going to be able to brighten her day? And is she going to connect with you in such a way that she cannot wait to come back here? Because if you can't, I don't care how good your reception skills are, how good your phone skills are, how many years experience you've got, it means nothing to Mary. Like, she doesn't care. So even my hiring and firing decisions are done on the basis of, first and foremost, so we'll have almost a two-stage interview, which Vicky, my manageress, would do, and she'll just come back and say yes or no. And all that means is Mary will connect. And if Mary will connect, we'll talk, then I'll step in. So I'm judging everything on that, and I have a very interesting equation, if you like, on how I select. So Mary's obviously 50 plus, 60 plus, 70 now in my practice coming through the doors, because those guys are being more active and there's more money around at that level in the baby boomer. There's money around everywhere, but those guys have got it on there, because their mortgage is gone and kids are gone or whatever. So when I'm thinking of it, I'm looking for an employee probably in their early 20s who is full of energy, full of life, full of just this carefree kind of attitude that Mary once had. Because it reminds Mary of herself. And secondly, it reminds Mary of Mary's grandkids. So when Vicky, Rachel, Jess, whoever it is in their early 20s is full of life, carefree, just wonderful, like everything's happy, everything's positive, they don't care about recessions and like tax hikes and all this crap that's going on. Mary has an escapism when she comes to my practice now, because Jess, Rachel, whoever has that energy about life. It's not somewhere in the middle. So Mary connects with that age group perfectly well. Again, all thought out, all strategic, all comes from understanding who my patient is inside and out.
Yeah, I love it. That's awesome. I was just thinking, I was listening to, I think it was your podcast, and I was listening, I was like, yes, that's it. That's because I'm hiring someone right now. And it's just like, I was like, that's that decision. And I've found someone who I'm pretty sure is going to do that. And I'm really excited. And I was just doing some training with her yesterday, and I was like, this is what Paul's talking about. And it's, yeah, exactly. And I just wanted to make sure everyone got that, because it's not just about the patients. It's not about attracting patients. It sounds like it's attracting everything that you want in your life is focused around this kind of idea and goal of like, who's your perfect patient and what's my mission and where are you going? Does that sound like what?
100%. Every problem that every business owner has comes from his inability to understand who his customer is. Externally, internally, and philosophically. And what that means externally, 99.9% of people communicate with their customers externally, all about back pain or physical therapy. If you notice what I do, I communicate internally. So I communicate on skepticism, nervousness, fear, doubt, resentment, even a little bit of anger. There's a crap load of resentment in both of our countries right now because your copay is higher than ever, right? Your monthly payments are higher than ever and they ain't going down. And your Mr. Customer now realizes that his copay is higher, his out of network costs are higher, and his monthly premium is higher because he's paying for some other sod's healthcare.
Yeah.
Like that's what's going on inside. It's happening here in Britain. So when they come and see me and I say, hey, $150 a session, don't think for 1 second that my customer isn't going, well, I've already paid my taxes. And they just got hiked last year as well to pay for all the benefits, the houses, everybody to get like everything for nothing, etc. So that's the philosophical level.
Yeah.
So when you communicate both internally and in your marketing, if you communicate externally, you lose. If you communicate internally, you'll win. If you can communicate externally, internally, and philosophically, you smash the ball out of the park for like the biggest home run that's ever been like hit ever.
Yeah. Give us an example of an internal and external communication to a patient who is maybe skeptical about paying you guys £100.
So if I just went down externally, it would be, hey, Aaron, I've done your evaluation today and you have sciatica and it's going to take me 2 visits a week and I need $150 for every one for you to come and see me.
Yeah.
Standard, right? That's what everyone does.
Yeah.
Seen it. I've been in clinics in about 15 different states in the US in the last 18 months. As you know, I travel everywhere. I make a point of going to work with my clients. I get on the ground floor with them. I watch their evaluations. I listen to their communication and I come back. And at the end of the day, I just sit there and go, like, that secretary that you told me that was good, like she's gone. If you're asking me for your thing, she needs to shape up or ship out, like one of the two, because she's costing you a fortune. She's speaking to everybody on an external level. So an internal level would be, hey Aaron, so I listened to you. I've listened to everything that you said, and you told me that you love to ride bikes. And one of the things that is happening to you right now is that you can't ride this like bike that you love to do, all around Europe, which you've got your hopes and dreams on next summer. You can't get on that bike for more than 20 minutes. And I also know that you're a little bit skeptical about coming to see us. And I'm also 100% aware that you have this thing called a free healthcare system that, you don't have to pay. However, based upon everything that you've told me today, I'm 100% certain that I can help you. In fact, I've seen your story before. In fact, I had a guy in from Belgium just a couple of weeks ago who was telling me all about this, problem he was having with his ankle, and he couldn't ride his bike either. Anyway, a couple of sessions later, we've seen him probably now 6 or 7 times, and his ankle's fine. He's back on his bike, and I think he actually won the last ride that he was on. So anyway, based upon all that, if you want to get back on your bike, then I need you to come down here for once or twice a week for the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh yeah.
External, internal, and philosophical.
Yeah.
In the process. So if I've done my marketing right and they've responded to an ad, I need to find out what they've responded to. So there's something in that ad that moved them. Of 600 words in my newspaper ad, there will be 10 words in an order that cause them to pick up the phone. I need to find out what those 10 words were, collectively what they mean. So it could be independence, it could be mobility, it could be avoiding surgery, it could be avoiding painkillers. And once I find out what that was, because they're not responding for physical therapy because they don't even know I am one. I'm a back pain expert in all of my ads. They call the clinic, we find out what that is, and we continue to communicate with them about that till the day they leave the practice. The moment I start talking about physical therapy and back pain, I've lost them.
Yeah. Yeah. The people are coming for so much more than that. And they have a lot of other choices.
Yes. And again, what's hard for a lot of people on this call, and I'm sure like a few people are like, what the hell is this? Like, but the thing to understand is the traditional model of physical therapy has existed from doctors signing a script and sending a patient out. Sending a patient out to a physical therapy clinic who back then there was no copay, very little deductible, and it was like, okay, I'll kind of go along with it. I don't really know what the hell's going on, but I've paid for this through my insurance anyway. I might as well have it.
Right.
Sound familiar? Now oh, now I have to contribute a bit more, and I don't understand what this thing is. Nah, like it baffles me that business owners think that this was never going to be a problem. And it baffles me even more that they think that it's a recession or they've got no money. It's absolute crap. Like,
Yeah.
it's because you're still running a business the same way that the consumer was 10 years ago. The consumer's completely changed now, and there's no certainty anymore in the relationship. The price and the contribution is increased significantly. Therefore, they expect more. They expect it. And the ironic thing about the whole thing is we don't have to actually give them more. We just have to communicate them with them in a way that makes them feel more from the get-go.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly why I said earlier there's no value in physical therapy. Physical therapy doesn't have a value. That's one of my CIs told me early on. No one's going to pay more than their copay for physical therapy.
They also the big problem, or like one of many problems. One is that nobody understands what we do, so they can't pay for that. But secondly, understand this: there's no bags of stuff. So if I go to Walmart today and spend $200, I walk out with a big bag of stuff and a huge shopping trolley. Instant gratification. I'm like getting my feed on the way home. Like, I'm putting my hand in the boot to get the chocolate out, the cookies, the crisps. I'm getting a return on my investment very quickly, and I can see what I got for my money. That's consumerism.
Yeah.
So again, 10 years ago, when I went to see a physical therapy clinic, I wasn't really involved in the process because it was such little outlay for me. Yeah, I was paying monthly in the same way that we are taxes, but I didn't feel that, and I just accepted that as the norm because my parents paid it, everybody else paid it, and like I had to pay it. So I'll kind of go along with the process. But now I've handed the credit card over, I put the 4 digits in, money's left my account, and there's no bags of stuff. So the guy who tells you he's got no money, it's not that he's got no money, because he's on Amazon tonight ordering a new TV, which he knows when he puts the digits in and the security code and he presses confirm order, tomorrow there's a 42-inch plasma on his wall and he's watching NCIS or Lost, guaranteed.
Yep.
Pleasure.
Yes.
Not in our world. So we have to recognize that, and we have to load that up in the beginning of the relationship, so that when they do arrive, they feel it and they understand what they're paying for. And I know without any hesitation, if you do that right, money issues go away. Like, there's no such 8 out of 10 people can afford if your sessions were $300, people, they can afford it, because there's this wonderful thing called a credit card that we put everything on now. Like, that's how we get through life.
Right.
To the things that give us pleasure.
It's kind of like if you ask someone, how much is it worth to you to play with your kids again? Right.
Well, now you've asked. Well, like my house.
Yeah. How much is it worth to, take care of your spouse, play professional ball or whatever it is? That's irrespective of the physical therapy thing. It's like getting to that person's motivation. What are some of the things that you ask? What are some of the ways that you ask patients to get to that information? Because it's not always easy.
What you have to be prepared for is, again, it goes back to understanding them. So if one of my physios would say, if I can solve this problem for you in the next few days, what value would it bring to your life? And the patient will go, huh? Like, what sort of a question is that? And that's kind of how it feels, but it isn't, because the patient will, for a second or two, have to actually think, because you've asked him a question that nobody else has ever asked him, which is the number one reason to ask it. Or if we say, hey, so what brings you to see me today? Like, how can I help? Stop. Well, I've got back pain. Oh, yeah, back pain. Well, a lot of people that I see in my clinic have back pain, but that's not the number one reason that they really come. It's usually that the back pain is stopping them from doing something. So it could be golf, it could be running, it could be walking, it could be playing with grandkids. And then the patient will go, oh, well, now you've put it like that. Well, what it is that I can't do X, Y, and Z. Oh, so that's the real reason that you're here. So now this is not about pain, Mr. Smith, is it? No. Okay. That's why when the pain stops at 3 and 4 sessions, because I've worked my magic, my patients still come. And they don't ring up and go, the pain's gone, so I don't think I need to come anymore. Because we've communicated them in such a way, from the marketing, from Facebook, from newspaper ads, from postcards, all about the thing. Because I know what the thing is. Independence, lifetime dependency upon pills, avoiding surgery, and finding out what's wrong. So I can take those 4 buckets and like, again, I'll find out which one it is when they call, and I'll communicate with them on that forever and a day. And that's why they follow through and pay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's,
free system is doing physical
mhm.
therapy. I'm helping people stay off pills, avoid surgery, maintain independence and mobility, and to put their mind at ease with telling them exactly what's wrong.
Yeah. That's great. And that's very different than anything we've ever been taught in PT school, or, even a lot of marketing is, it's just like, put up your sign that says LeBauer Physical Therapy. We're great. Choose us. I'm guilty of that.
Like, yeah, we all
Yeah.
are. We all are, because we all look around at other business owners and like, look, you know me, Aaron. I'm obsessed with this stuff. Like, I live, eat, like breathe it. Like, it's just like it consumes my whole life, right? And there's not many lecturers in school who are going to do that. Like,
Yeah.
so I figured out this stuff over however many years period, literally hundreds of thousands of dollars figuring it out. I'm always flying and doing masterminds and events and coaching and reading books and blah blah blah. So like, no PT like instructor in the world is ever going to know this stuff ever. Like, they've never been in businesses, so how are they going to pass it on? So a lot of the stuff that you're getting taught sets you up for a model that isn't showcasing what you are going to go in as a solo cash business owner. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not their job. I don't believe that it is.
Right.
Their job is to go, there's the physical, biomechanical, it's how the body breaks down, it's how you fix it. Now you go and learn the rest.
Mm-hmm.
That's the real con ed.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see, we've got a few minutes left. I just want to let everyone know, like, Paul, we've got some time for some questions. If you have any questions for Paul today, Paul, I got a few more questions, and
yeah, I can't see the chat, but if
okay,
obviously you'll have to read them to me.
Yeah, I'll read them to you. If you've mentioned before about the flatline, or why clinics fail. Like, can you just tell us briefly what's the flatline, and why is it that a lot of clinics, when they start up, or PTs when they start up, they fail to get off the ground and get going?
Yeah, so flatline is where you exhaust all of the people in town who know enough about physical therapy to confidently pay for it.
Yeah.
So the first 2 years of a solo practitioner's life usually resembles they're hustling, they're in front of people, they're doing the unscalable work, which is community events, asking friends and family for referrals. They get 1 or 2 people through the door. Those people naturally tell 1 or 2 people because the care that they got was so like amazing. And why wouldn't it be? Because they only had 2 people to look after that week. So that's the number of people who confidently say yes, confidently understand what a physical therapy clinic does, to say yes. That's the flat line. And what happens usually after about 2 years, that guy, that girl has exhausted all of the people, the 7%, if you like, who are looking for a physical therapist because they've heard about one, they've been told by a doctor, yada, yada. They exhaust those people. And most people spend their entire life in a flat line from like 2 years out of business. I was one. And what happens? The needle drops slightly, so you hustle. You get back for the community event. You get back at the end of a 5K race. You get back in front of whoever it was, your best referrer, because you haven't seen them for 6 months, and you get a little bump, and the spike goes back up. And then 3 months later, it drops back down. And all the time, what's happening is it's fluctuating from like anywhere between 25 to 27 and 22. And it's like for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, well, we did all right and we started well and we got to 25 visits a week, but we just don't matter what we do, we can't get past it. That's because you're talking to and marketing to the small number of people who know what a physical therapy clinic does. And the key thing to understand is to confidently hand over $150 in cash, $50 copay, however many dollars in deductible. I know most people on here are cash. So with you guys, it's even, and me, it's even more that we have to build confidence into that relationship. So that's the flat line. Most businesses exist in it forever after about 2 years.
Mm-hmm. What's the number one thing someone can do to get beyond that? To get past that flat line?
Yeah. So if you think you're focusing on the 7, and that's what everybody in the world does, go focus on the 93 and communicate with the 93 in a way that they can that you can prove to them upfront that you can solve their problem, and it will be just happen to be physical therapy that you will use to solve the problem. So you're not leading with physical therapy. So in my case, it's are you worried about have you got back pain, and are you worried about relying upon pills for the rest of your life? Yes. Okay. I'm your man. I just happen to be a physical therapist. Mm-hmm. Are you a 32-year-old CrossFit athlete who has got a shoulder problem and has for 3 months, who thinks it's his form because everybody else around him is telling him it's his form, but maybe suffering with supraspinatus tendonitis? If so, I'm your guy.
Yeah. So tell me, so I know a lot about you and what you're doing, but and you use systems. So you like systematize or systemize, you rocket ship, you're selling through this automation. Tell us real quick, like what's the most simple automation that you use that's the most effective?
Email.
Like what's the thing? Like, yeah, email.
Easy. Not even for debate. Email. Like anybody you tell, I went to I spoke at a physical therapy conference a few months ago, and there was like some debate over like social media and email marketing and all this stuff, and a few people like, hey, it doesn't work anymore, just like nobody reads newspapers anymore. It's like, yeah, good one. So I got up right at the end of the like 3 days and I said, so can I just have a show of hands who doesn't think who thinks that email marketing is a waste of time? And like 95 of them went, me. I was like, hey, can you just let me know who bought your ticket for this conference through an email? And they all went,
right.
So it's like, listen, like, let's stop the bullshit again. Like, if you're going to say something and you're going to make a decision on it, let's figure out it first. So email marketing works if you do it right, because I'm not sending emails that are, hey, book an appointment. I'm sending an email that says, hey, John, I just wanted to let you know, if you are suffering with back pain and you're worried about taking pills, then I have some information that I have to help you. If you just continue to read one or two of my emails, I'm sure you're going to find something informative and helpful and might help you sleep at night, might put some peace of mind, yada, yada. So those emails are getting open, but not an email that says, I'm a wonderful physical therapist. I'm the best ever. I've written a book and I'm a, ex-professional soccer physical therapist. And you should definitely come and see me. And I've moved out of network and I'm cashing, it's like,
yeah,
I'm not going to reply. I'm not even going to open that after email number one. So email marketing is the best way ever. How are everybody on this call? How's everybody on this call?
Email. Maybe a few people from social media.
Because email, because of the relationship that you've built through email, Aaron. Like that's, let's get it right. Because people trust you. You've communicated with them in such a way that they can resonate with your story because they have a similar story. You've told times of your challenges and your struggles and your wins, stuff that's going on in your life. And you've just happened to use email to do that.
Right.
In the same way that we just happen to use physical therapy to get people to walk further. Like everywhere we look around the world, the same thing is happening, and us business owners are being influenced and impacted in certain ways. And then we go to work the next day, we open the door of our clinic and we stop being the guy, we start acting differently than the guy that's been influenced ourselves, because we think, our business is different. Well, we're a CashPT, nobody's going to do that. We're CashPTs, nobody reads emails. We're CashPT. If you're going to live like that, your whole life will just be absolutely torturous. Know the word. So figure out how you're being impacted and just put it into your business.
Yeah. Awesome. I love that. So what's next for Paul Gough?
Tonight, changing nappies.
Yeah. I know. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I have an
again. Thank you.
8-day-old baby in the house as of last Tuesday. Tobias came into my life, so I have a beautiful little boy named Harry who has been to more states in America than most Americans. He's 2.5. He's been every East Coast, West Coast, Phoenix, San Fran, New York. Like, he's been everywhere. Australia twice. That was what I wanted to build a business for, so I could travel with my kids. So
yeah.
But what's next in my life? Business. Yeah, I love business and continue to invest and engross myself in this stuff and continue to share what I know with business owners, to travel, to meet business owners, and to impact this community worldwide as best as I possibly can in the fastest way. I'm very direct and very blunt for a reason, because my sole goal is not to be liked. It's to help people to be successful as fast as is possible. And I'm very aware that my style is that way. So if it's people take it the wrong way or whatever, then again, I don't really care, because I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to help you be successful and give you all of this information to you as fast as possible.
It makes you very likable. You're honest. You're truthful, and you're like what's it called? You're genuine. So it's.
Thank you. I love what I do. I love what I do, and I know that we are in an industry where there's so many kind of false truths and half like this, that, and this. It's just, I'm desperate to be somebody, and like yourself and Jared and all these just amazing people that just come in and go, no, like, this is the truth. Like, just do this. Don't question it. Just get on with it, and you'll be fine. Like, and there's no ulterior motive other than to serve. And yeah, absolutely. We all want our own little piece of success, and damn right, that's the way it should be. But we're going to do it in a way that helps people to grow more successful businesses. And what I love about that, and I said this to Jared Carter recently, I don't know if I said it to you, don't ever forget what we do as physical therapists. So if we figure out marketing, we impact more people, and our impact improves health. That's the bottom line. If there's ever a justification for getting better at marketing, changing your communication, figuring out a few little, alterations to the way that you do business today, the pain of it equals a shitload of pleasure for a lot of patients.
Yeah.
And that equals a lot of great health, and that equals a lot of happy families, a lot of less worried kids, a lot of more playful grandkids who can play in swing parks. That's what I live in and die by every single day of my business.
Yeah. I agree. That's one of the reasons I'm multiplying and trying to help other people, is because I can only impact 25 to 30 people on my own.
Absolutely.
But if I can help someone else start a practice or make a decision to come see another physical therapist in my practice, we can get 60 more people or 1,000 more people.
Somebody said to me, "Don't you miss the impact that you have as a therapist?" I was like, "What?" So the impact that I had when I was a solo guy treating 60 patients a week versus the impact I have as a business owner impacting 500 patients a week. Let that digest.
Yeah, exactly. So I just want to let you all know that Paul shared with us, he's got a free download that I've loaded up on your screen. You can click on the link. It's free, and it's his blueprint. It's an accelerator method blueprint. Goes into more detail about some of the things we've talked about today. And it's, like I said, it's yours free. No viruses. But Paul, tell us a little bit about where can people find you if they want to connect with you on Twitter, online. So tell us where your website is.
Everything's Paul Gough. So I've got a training organization called ptprofitacademy.com. So people can go there. I've got some free information there. My own website, which is kind of more my YouTube. I've got a YouTube show. I have a podcast. I put out regular blogs. Go to paulgough.com for that. Paulgough. I have an Irish heritage. So it's an Irish name. Gough. Paulgough.com. You can find my podcast on iTunes. It's the Physical Therapy Business School podcast, and it's a podcast dedicated to helping great physical therapists become successful business owners. So I'm big on business and helping people who are solo practitioners, 15 to 20 visits a week, 5, 10, 15, 20 visits a week, get to being an established business owner where potentially hiring more staff, opening out new locations, because that's what I've done. So I know that journey to 7-figure business with 4 locations, 15 staff. I've made every mistake. I've hopefully rectified a few of them along the way, and I'm very qualified to be able to help that guy on that journey from that path up towards kind of 4 and 5 clinics and 2,000 visits a month. After that, it might be somebody else. I have to learn from somebody. So yeah, that's what I do, and that's where people can find me. Paul@paulgough.com is my email, and all over Twitter and Facebook, just hashtag or whatever the thing is called. It's the Paul Gough. The Paul Gough, you'll find me. Yeah,
Is it called something else in the UK?
I haven't got a clue what it's
ampersand.
Just basically put / the Paul Gough on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and you'll find me.
Yeah, beautiful, awesome. Any parting thoughts?
Thank you. I'm honored, and the what I love about you guys, and I mean that respectfully, America as a whole, as a country, you're so welcoming to people that have something to contribute and offer, and I'm incredibly grateful to yourself and Jared and people that have given me an opportunity in the early phase to share what I know, because my biggest fear was I had all this information and I might not get a chance to share it. So thank you for having me, and an Englishman who's making his way in America. It's a big thing for me. So I thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart, and for everybody taking the time to listen to what I have to say today. I hope you got something from it that lifts you, impacts you, lets you see what's possible for yourself. Because if I can do that, if I can help you to see what's possible, the rest is easy. Oh,
thank you, Paul. I appreciate it. That means a lot, and I'm just stoked that you're here and that we met, and I'm so happy that everyone joined us today, and it's been really awesome. I've learned a ton just on this call right now, and I know we'll have more opportunities to speak in the future, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in Vegas in person.
Yeah, a couple of weeks, it would be good. Yeah,
and coming to eat some fish and chips in the northern England sometime.
Yeah, bring a hat and a coat, because it's not quite as warm as North Carolina. That's for sure.
I know. It was awesome. Well, thank you all for attending. The replay will be available in your email, because I know I'm going to want to watch this again. Stay tuned to the CashPT lunch hour. We've got some awesome guests coming up in the next few months. This is Aaron LeBauer, LeBauer Consulting, and join us on the CashPT Nation on Facebook if you're not already there. And have a great day. Peace out.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for your time.